Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. We are halfway through the year, or we're getting pretty close anyway, in about 10 days. This is starting to be a little bit of a tradition. I think I've done it for the last couple of years. I know I did it last year for sure, where I wanted to just kind of like review what's happened this half of the year. And there is a lot that's happened. And we're going to look at my spreadsheet called Second Coming Timeline to see what I've recorded so far. Um, and maybe add some things that I forgot. I thought it'd be good, to get that input from you. Let's see. I think this fire animation is making it choppy, so I'm just going to turn it off, even though it's really cool. Yeah, looks like that's better, I think. So, who all is here? This is a live stream. If you're watching this after the fact, this is a live stream. So, I'm going to give it just a few minutes. Um, let's see. Rick 808, hello from Hawaii on my way home from work. The Watchman in Zion, hello Jared. Crochet Mama, good evening Jared. Hi you guys. Hope everyone's had a good day. What is today? is today it's Thursday. Okay. I had to check. For me, like every single day is the same, except for Sunday. So yeah, I have a lot on my mind. Um, Yesterday I was having a conversation with Jenica, and she was asking me, like, because again, she can't watch every one of my videos. And so sometimes we'll go on a drive and she'll be like, so is there anything new that you've talked about over the last couple over the last couple days? What's like the next big thing to look forward to? And so I went over the things that I am looking forward to, that I'm curious about. So I guess while we're waiting for people to join, I'll go over some of that. The first thing that comes to mind is President Nelson's age. I don't need to repeat everything. I've done lots of videos about it, but it really seems like there's something significant behind him turning 100. And my best guess, or my top hope, is that it means that he'll be one of the first ones, if not the first one, to be changed in the twinkling of an eye in the millennium, if the second coming, comes that quick. Whether it comes before his 100th birthday, meaning that he would be in his 100th year of life, or once he turns 100 years old. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But whatever the case, if he turns 100 years old, that's just going to be it's going to be historic. In this dispensation, we haven't had any prophets get to 100 years old. He's already, when he turned 98, he became the longest living prophet or apostle of this dispensation. So that was already pretty historic, but just hitting that milestone of 100 years old, that's going to be something else. I feel like there's something to that. If he passes away before the second coming, and no one's hoping for that, if he does, then presumably President Oaks would become the next president of the church if he's still alive. He's also up there in age. He's in his 90s. But we've talked about this symbolism of how, President Nelson, he's the heart surgeon. It's like he's symbolically working on the heart of the church to make us a Zion people of one heart and one mind. And then President Oaks, his profession was in law. He was a judge. He was on the Utah Supreme Court. So symbolically, that's kind of interesting. And they both came in at the same time as apostles. And President Nelson, this last general conference, just mentioned the fact that they just hit their 40 years, their 40-year anniversary, 40-year anniversary, meaning that they've completed a full 40 years. Now they're now in their 41st year. So something like that could easily happen before the year is done. And when that happens, there's all sorts of implications, not just like symbolically, but just how I've seen some people react to President Oaks, because he's very interested in like politics and law, and how law relates to morality and the things that are being legalized. So I think that there would be like a huge uproar um, among certain groups once he became president of the church, if that's what happens. So, whatever the case, like I'm looking forward into the future to this, either President Nelson's birthday or when he passes away or whatever. It feels like any way that it goes, it's going to be a big change and profound. So that's one thing. Another thing, I recently did my video about the red heifers. I don't know how much time they have before they finally do this, but things have been really quiet. Maybe one day we'll wake up and they'll have performed the ceremony, and that could really take things to the next level as far as like the war goes. Because again, I'll remind you, both Hezbollah and Hamas have talked about their displeasure in the red heifers coming to Israel, and Hamas cited it as a reason that they started the war. So if they successfully complete the ceremony, then I can only imagine things would be exacerbated. So that's another big thing to look out for. And that would definitely be a big sign, I think, to the Jews. The war that started, from those that I've spoken to, like Rabbi Gerfine, it seems like it's kind of like reawakened a spirituality in Jews that are typically secular. So, like, for example, some of them that have been deployed have chosen to wear tzitzis, or it's called, there's like two different ways you can call it, tzitzis or tzitzit or something like that. But essentially it's like they can wear it as an overgarment or an undergarment. It's in the Bible. It's like where you have a four-cornered garment, you have fringes, and they view it as Jewish body armor. And I've argued that it's not the same as the temple garment, but I think that during the law of Moses, it could have been kind of like a foreshadowing of that, or like a lesser version of the temple garment. So you have all these like secular Jews that have become more spiritual, and if this happened, it would probably make really big news. And I don't know what would happen. On the Jewish side, it may bring more people closer to being spiritual. And then on the other side, it may make the other side even more angry and exacerbate things. So that's like another big thing. And then just in general, the war, is it going to end this year? This next half of the year, are we going to see the end of it, or is it going to escalate? The way that things look, it seems like it's escalating to the point where Israel is going to start going after Hezbollah, and it'll turn into a full-blown war. So those are some things that I'm looking at. I know that there were more. I feel like there were more long-term, not so much this year, but of course, looking forward to the rededication of the Salt Lake Temple. It feels like that's significant. I'm of the opinion that Christ could come before that and come unexpectedly, which I feel like that would be in line with the scriptures, and coming at a time where you're either prepared or you're not, and you should just be ready at all times. I think a lot of people can get complacent and think, oh, he's not going to come until after the Salt Lake Temple is done. I wouldn't be so sure, but if he doesn't, then that's going to be a major event. Oh yeah, and then the other big thing for this year is the elections. We're going to review some stuff already going on with that. That's already taken place. And I think things are just going to potentially, almost certainly, descend into chaos as we get to that time of the year. Whatever the outcome, it's probably not going to be pretty. So we'll just have to have our head on a swivel and do our best to be peacemakers and not add to the chaos. But it feels like these last couple elections, it feels like they've been significant. All elections are significant, but especially the last two. When Trump came into office, in like the Christian second coming community, and probably ours as well, it seems like a lot of people viewed him as a sign of sorts, to varying degrees. Some people, I think, have taken it too far as like how much they adore him. But even things that some people think are silly, like the fact that his name is Trump, and when you think about the trumpets in the scriptures, whether it's Book of Revelation or Doctrine and Covenants, Trump, like a trumpet, it's associated with the last days. But his presidency was just like so unusual, and it really felt like our politics was taken to a new level when he became president of the country. I almost said president of the church. So we're kind of still in this Trump saga. It's not over. It's kind of like right now we're like in the sequel. If it's like a trilogy, you have like his first term, and now you have Biden as president. This is like the sequel, and then the trilogy. We'll see what happens this next term, but either way, it's probably going to be pretty interesting. So there's actually a lot of stuff to think about. I can't remember if there was anything else that I was talking to Jenica about, but we were talking about the fact that, well, at least I've been feeling like things have been kind of like slow lately. And I think that's just because there's already been so many big things this year. And that's what we're going to review in just a second. So be thinking about what you've noticed this year in case I don't have it on my timeline. I'm not going to put every like little thing, but if it's like a key thing that I forgot, I haven't done so well paying attention to my second coming timeline like I should have this year. But anyway, let me just read some of the chat. Oscar Machuca, hi Jared. And then it doesn't say the name. Okay, whatever. So the next person after Oscar Machuca, I listened to Elder Holland's little scripture study today and loved it, but also was a bit saddened because he is aging right before my eyes, and I will miss him when he's gone from this life. Yeah, we all will. We all will, especially if you've been in the church for a long time. Every apostle is special and important, and they have their mission, but like President Holland, for me, has always like really stood out because he's been very like fiery, kind of like in a good way, fiery, passionate. The way that he speaks, it really like gets to you. It always has for me. And then there's his association or his history with Israel and the BYU Jerusalem Center and his recent visit. And when I say recent, I mean 2016 with Benjamin Netanyahu. That's another thing. According to his general conference talk, he may only have weeks or months left. And he had this like near-death experience. So if he passes away this year, I feel like that's going to send shockwaves throughout the church. And I'm still just stunned that it seems like he would have passed away, but he's been preserved for a little season. And it seems like a lot of that had to do with his general conference talk. And he repeated urgency, the need to be urgent in this recent visit that him and Elder Bednar did in California. He was repeating the need to be urgent about things. And again, I'll just say, I know that he would never, I know that they're all determined, but in his condition, it's just crazy to see him not having much time left, his health failing, and still traveling to places like California, because you could easily give him a pass and be like, no, just stay at home, spend time with your family. You've already done so much service in the church. Just rest. Like, well done, good and faithful servant. But no, he's still going, and he probably will until the day that he passes away. So I'll be really interested to see what happens with him for the rest of the year. Okay. Janet Carlson, a reporter that Carter no longer wakes up, PR. I think some of that got lost in translation. Are you talking about President Carter? Because that's like one of the key people that I'm looking at because of this like string of like notable deaths of all these like people representing different countries and religions. and like the United States seemingly going to be the last. Let's see. Let me just see if I can find what you're talking about. Jimmy Carter news. One week. Jimmy Carter no longer awake every day, grandson says. Oh, that's from a week ago. Oh my gosh. I know not all of you like believe this, and I'm not saying that it's a real thing. Here, I'll put it on the screen in just a second. Let me pull up this thing. Go down to timeline, deaths, just in case there's like new people that have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go to window. Okay, so when President Nelson became the oldest living prophet or apostle in our dispensation, his 98th birthday, the day before Queen Elizabeth passed away, the day before, she was the longest reigning British monarch, and you have all these other countries, the longest living or the longest serving. We have the Soviet Union, we have China, Hawaii, soccer, the Catholic Church with Pope Emeritus Benedict the 16th, Greece. We have some American ones, but it's not like the president, but it's like these people that kind of represent the different branches of government, all three so far. The European Union, Denmark, and the most recent one is Italy. So my line of thinking has been that this is some kind of sign, because to replicate this, it's not going to happen anytime soon, because you'd have to have somebody that outlives Queen Elizabeth II. You'd have to have another Soviet Union and somebody that served longer than Mikhail Gorbachev, or lived longer, whatever it was. In the history of the Catholic Church, we just saw the longest living pope. So you'd have to do that. So it's not going to happen again. And they're all happening pretty close together, relatively speaking. And so Jimmy Carter, representing the United States as the longest living president or ex-president, either one, whenever he passes away, and by the way, he's only like a month, there's only a month difference in age between him and President Nelson, I'm going to pay attention. Former President Carter is experiencing the world as best he can, quote unquote, while he is no longer awake every day in hospice care, his grandson revealed in an interview late last week. I don't really see anything else, but that is an update. Thank you for bringing that up. Who was that again? That was Janet Carlson. Trevor Stevens. Hey guys from West Bountiful, Utah, just working away, creating awesome carvings and joining the live. I don't have the stream. Okay. That's cool. Thank you, Trevor. I'll talk to you later on Messenger. Carrie Goodman. Hi from Southern California. Bob D. There are a picture of a red heifer in some of the temples, like the Boise, Idaho temple, FYI. That is really cool. The red heifer represents Christ. We've studied that. It's in the Institute manual. It's just one of the many symbols of Christ. Joni is here from Joyous Genealogist. Make sure to subscribe to her. Hi, Jared and Jenica. Woo. Jenica says hi, Joni. Okay. So let's take a look at the timeline. Let's go back here. I'll pull up this. This is my, here, let me move the camera up a little bit. The webcam. Okay. Timeline, second coming. That's the name of this spreadsheet. This is basically, I think it was the first spreadsheet that I put together, because I was covering all these different signs and events and I had to remember them. There's just so much going on. Like, if you don't record it, you might remember some things, but it's not as good as if you track it and you write it down. So the year started it was New Year's Day, and I woke up and there was a 7.6 magnitude earthquake and tsunami in Japan. And I haven't followed up on that, but it's killed over 100 people. It changed the coast of Japan. I think it was like part of the West Coast shifted significantly. And when I say that, I think it was like, I don't know, yards, something like that. But like it shifted, and for me, that kind of set the tone for the year. Um, there have been a lot of things going on. We've been having disasters and stuff. Not so much earthquakes or tsunamis, but it was just an interesting way to start the year. Also on January 1st, Estonia legalized same sex marriage, the 36th country to do so. I'm keeping track of that. Um, and then the first temple to be dedicated this year was the Lima, Peru, Los Olivos temple on January 14th. 14 is two sevens. This was an interesting one. I did a video about it. You know, Los Olivos means the olives. So you think about olives and the symbolism of that. And it was just kind of interesting. Also on that same day, Queen Margaret II, the longest sitting monarch in Denmark's history, abdicates the throne. So I have her here. Not that she passed away, but this long running reign came to an end. She gave up the throne. So she's the second most recent to like end that position that I'm tracking. Okay, January 21st, 21 is three sevens. The Orem, Utah temple was dedicated, which was the 188th of the church. Okay, and then the most recent notable death was Vittorio Emanuele of Savoy, son of Italy's last king. And he himself, Vittorio Emanuele of Savoy, had previously declared himself as king of Italy. He passed away at the age of 86. Now, I did a video about this, and this one was of particular interest to me because when I did the video, I don't remember all the details, but essentially, if you go all the way back to the Roman Empire, and if you were to think of it in those terms, like the king that reigns out of Italy, modern day Italy, he's essentially the last one to claim to be like a king. Now, I know that in Roman history, you had different periods. It started out with kings, and then it turned into a republic, and then it turned into an empire where they kind of came back full circle, and emperors essentially were kings, even though you still had the Senate. But you just have to watch that video. I kind of I researched it. So if there was like a final person to claim to be king or emperor or whatever you want to call it, out of that geographic area, Italy, he's the last one. So if you look at it in that way, that's kind of big because the Roman Empire obviously played a significant role in the history of the world, as well as the Bible, you know, during New Testament times. So, and that's the most recent one in this series. It's the most recent one, Italy. Two before that, you had the entire European Union with Jacques Delors, the architect of the modern European Union, longest serving European Commission president. So you're starting to get like the really big ones, you know, Italy, possibly representing Rome itself, like the empire, the European Union. Before that, you go down a couple, you have Greece. You know, Greece was like the top dog for a while before the Roman Empire took off. So, and I think everyone agrees that if there is a Rome right now, or a country that's in the top spot among countries, it's the United States. And we just read about Jimmy Carter. It seems like it's coming to an end very quick if he's no longer awake every day. Okay, so that happened with Italy, February 3rd. Okay, excuse me. The next day, there was a wildfire in Viña del Mar, which means Vineyard of the Sea. This is in Chile, in the region called Valparaiso, or Valley of Paradise. Now, this caught my attention because, let's go to prophets. I think it's President. No, it's not that one. Oh yeah, it's President Nelson's bridges. Okay, so we're going to what I'm currently calling President Nelson's bridges, or you could think of them as bookends, where you have an event that takes place toward the beginning of his presidency. That's why I start this here in like 2017. He became president in 2018, but some of these like were just before he became president of the church. So things that happened toward the beginning of his presidency, and then similar things that have happened more recently, like bookends, like parentheses of his, his presidency. So one of them is this fire in Chile. If I can just find it, here it is. Okay. So in 2018, on November 8th, Paradise, California was destroyed by a wildfire. It was big news because it essentially destroyed most of the town. And it's a place called Paradise, right? So there's a lot of imagery there of like the second coming. You think about how the world is becoming more and more wicked. And for some people, that's their paradise. Is like a world of wickedness. You think about like Las Vegas being a paradise for whatever, gamblers and people of the world. So anyway, you have Paradise, California that burned. President Nelson went and visited, and then he brought it up in the next general conference, the April 2019 general conference, in this landmark talk called Come Follow Me. It's the talk where he, at the end, said, time is running out. Again, I always have to say this. You have to watch the way that he says it. You have to listen to his tone of voice, watch his body language, his facial expression, the way that he pauses before he says it. It was a warning that went over a lot of people's heads, unfortunately. But hopefully not me. Hopefully not you either. So in that talk, I'm not going to pull it up, but in that talk, he showed a picture of a burnt down Paradise, California. Burnt to a crisp. A very foreshadowy type image of what's going to happen at the second coming, whenever the burning takes place of the world. It's going to happen to the whole world, to the wicked. Okay, so that happened. And then in 20... Okay, so with these bookends, I've noticed that there's sometimes where you have kind of like a sandwiching effect, where you have two things on the ends and then something similar in the middle. So it's like a sandwich. So August 8th. Oh, that was also on the 8th. Not that that's a big deal. Paradise, November 8th. Lahaina, August 8th. Okay, so August 8th, 2023, this insane wildfire in Hawaii, of all places, in a place that's considered paradise. I would say that's kind of like an unofficial nickname or way to describe Hawaii, but especially Lahaina, because it was like a really big tourist destination. Lahaina was destroyed by fire. There's actually more details to that. The two chapels that belonged to the church were not harmed. They weren't burnt or anything. Most of the city burned, not all. There was also a Catholic church that survived, if I remember right. But ours were not affected. There was also the banyan tree, which is like a central feature of the city. It's like this large, it's a type of fig tree. It's like within the family of fig trees, but it's like gigantic. And it got burnt, but it was okay. You think about figs, you think about how that's like a representation of Israel. It's one of the symbols for Israel. And that tree, the banyan tree, was planted the same year that David O. McKay was born. That's just interesting because it was under David O. McKay's presidency that BYU Hawaii was created, as well as the Polynesian Cultural Center. It doesn't matter if he thought it up or not. It happened during his presidency. So it's just like an interesting connection. David O. McKay, Lahaina, the banyan tree. But anyway, you have this fire in Paradise. But then, February 4th of this year, Valparaiso, Chile had a similar fire. And what's interesting about this one is that President Nelson had announced a temple for Viña del Mar, the previous conference. So he announces a temple for that location, and then a few months later, it burns. And you have like these two aspects of it. You have the region called Valparaiso, Valley of Paradise, and then the city called Viña del Mar, Vineyard of the Sea. So I don't know, but I feel like that's really significant, and you should take that as a warning. Um, yeah, okay, so that's it for that. There's like more I could say, but I'm not gonna like repeat all those videos that I did covering all these details. February 13th. Okay, so this is how it went. I think it was March 2019 that President Nelson went to Rome, Italy to dedicate the Rome, Italy temple. He met with the Pope, and then a month later, I think it was April 2019, that's when the Notre Dame Cathedral caught fire and had a lot of fire damage, including the steeple. That was like the most like notable part that was ruined was the steeple. It was very visible. And it was also at this time that the Salt Lake Temple began renovations. I think it was in 2019. I'd have to double check. Should I double check? Yes. Yes, I should. Let me double check. President, no. It'll be quick, I think. Profits. President, no, let's see. Profits. I have too many spreadsheets. Profits talks. And yeah, I think he made the announcement October 2018, and then it started. I don't know. Okay, I thought I could do it. I can't. But whatever. So around the same time that the Notre Dame Cathedral burned, the Salt Lake Temple began renovations. Fast forward to 2024. On the same day, the last spire of the Salt Lake Temple was placed on top, like like the triangular cone pyramid spire things on the Salt Lake Temple. The last one was put in place on the same day that the Notre Dame Cathedral's steeple was revealed. There was like this parallel thing going on between the Salt Lake Temple and the Notre Dame Cathedral, which involved renovation. I think there's symbolism there. I've done videos about it. If you're interested in more, just look up Notre Dame on my channel, like on the homepage, and I dive into that. There's so much. So yeah, and then that's my next entry, talking about the Salt Lake Temple, getting the steeple put into place on the same day. I feel like that's so unlikely. 3 days later, Greece becomes the 37th country to legalize same-sex marriage on the national level. And then February 22nd, you have there was a X6.3 solar flare, the largest since the 10th of September 2017. Now this is because we're basically, it seems like scientists are pretty much agreeing that right now we're in solar maximum, because you have these like solar cycles that go for 11 years. And so you're starting to get like larger solar flares, which ultimately led to the aurora, but we're getting to that. But this was like another one of those bookend events. Let me just show you. Let's go to President Nelson's bridges. Why is it so hard for me sometimes to... Okay, here we go. Okay, we got NATO exercises. Okay, solar flares. So here you go, just so you can kind of visualize it a different way. The largest solar flare that we had seen up until this point with these different dates was just a few months before he became president of the church, September 10th of 2017. It was a 8.2 solar flare. And then once we saw the biggest one since that time, it just happened to be, instead of 8.2, 2.8, as though to like point toward the middle. There's been more since that time. There may have even been bigger ones than the 6.3. I'd have to double check on that. I have a lot of stuff that I'm trying to track, and it's a little bit hard to keep on top of it all. But you've had this going on. Okay, let's take a little break. Let me come back to the chat. Betty Horn, hello. Everyone make sure to subscribe to Betty Horn. Also the Haystack, he's the next one. Someone need to make a channel called Brother of Jared. Ha 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 ha. Bud Gillette, Haystack, nice idea. Haha. The Haystack, thumbs up. Trevor Stevens, I'm really curious to see what is going to happen with Chief Mitiga and the Birch Bark Scrolls. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I could see it as something that could be a huge stumbling block for a member. Yeah, I'm just not even going to touch that. And then the Haystack, okay, talking about, okay, we'll continue. Okay, let's go here. Actually, how many people do we have? Hold on. How many people are even watching this right now? Like 93. Okay. Make sure to like it. It'll recommend it to more people. So if you haven't liked the live stream yet, please like it. I'd appreciate it. And please leave your comments if you're watching this after the fact, or put something in the chat. Okay. So let's get back to the timeline. Okay. So you had the solar flare. March 4th, France becomes the first country to make abortion a constitutional right. So that is a turn for the worse, obviously. It seems to me that, well, I've talked to Rabbi Gerfein about this, and I think that he could be right. That, so we were talking about legalizing same-sex marriages. And according to Jewish tradition, I guess according to the Talmud, it's like, if you do it individually, it's like, well, you know, we all have our weaknesses. We have our different vices, things that we're prone to do that are bad. And so it's like at a personal level. But once society as a whole decides to accept it or legalize it, then that's when, you know, God becomes really upset. And I think that's probably true. That seems to make sense. But what he said was, according to the Talmudic tradition, that's when God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, if that's actually true, I don't know. That's according to the Talmud. The Talmud's not our scripture, but there could be some truth in there. But if any of that is right, then this is a problem. It's a problem. Because look what's happened with same-sex marriage. Up until this point, February, I don't know if I have more after February, but February of this year, we're already at the 37th country that's legalized same-sex marriage. And it's probably just going to continue. Like, do any of you foresee it stopping? Like, all of a sudden, it's like you get to the 40th, and then countries after that are like, nope, we're staying strong. We're not doing it. I would foresee it eventually becoming the case in every country in the world. I mean, maybe that's too pessimistic, but I think that's probably what's going to happen. We'll just have to wait and see. And so if this is what we've already seen with the legalization of same-sex marriage at the national level, then is this going to start to become the norm when it comes to abortion being a constitutional right? Is that going to start to spread to all these other countries? We'll have to see. So the day after that happens, there was the sudden and surprise announcement that the Kirtland Temple had transferred ownership from Community of Christ to the church. That took me by surprise. This was something that we had been discussing for, I don't know how long. I think how it went was somebody sent me this article from the Salt Lake Tribune where there's this other, like a blogger that kind of keeps tabs of stuff like this. And the blogger had been looking at the financials of the Community of Christ and how things were not looking good. And so following his lead, I did my own investigations and would visit this topic from time to time. And every time that I did, uh, things looked worse and worse for Community of Christ. Uh, they were talking about how they would need to explore selling historic assets, and I always hoped that that would include the Kirtland Temple. Um, at some point, if we're gonna create New Jerusalem the way that it was originally laid out, we would also need the land that they're currently on. A lot of people like fixate on Church of Christ, or they're called Church of Christ Temple Lot, the ones that own the temple lot for the first temple of the 24 temples. But uh, they only own like that one lot. You also have Community of Christ across the street that owns some of that land that would be used for the Aaronic priesthood temples. So that's like kind of like the next big one that we need to see. But the Kirtland Temple coming back to the church was just like one of the last videos I did. It was nothing short of miraculous. I did not expect to see it in my lifetime, and if it did, probably in the millennium. It was an amazing day. Me and Jenica were out driving like usual, and I got a text. It was from Christian Fire Poppy. Make sure to subscribe to her, Christian Fire Poppy. And I could not believe my eyes. I was like, what? And so we rushed home so I could do a video because that was huge news. And I still don't think that we fully understand the implications of what that means. Not just because of the events that took place there, which is probably the most significant aspect of it, the restoration of priesthood keys, the first temple of the church, but I think it's still relevant today and into the millennium, frankly. So that happened. The day before it reopened to the public, the Red Cliffs, Utah temple was dedicated, the 189th of the church. And then the next day, on the 25th of March, or in other words, 20 days later, the Kirtland Temple reopened under its new ownership, the ownership of the church. Okay, and then on April 2nd, the angel Moroni returned to the top of the Salt Lake Temple, and that was an amazing day. It was a stark contrast between this day and the day that it was taken down. The day that it was taken down, the trumpet had fallen out of his hand, and it was like a bleak, like overcast day. The day that the angel Moroni returned to the top of the Salt Lake Temple, it was, from all the pictures and videos that I've seen, it was like a cloudless day. It was just bright. The sun was bright and shining, and it was a very like peaceful atmosphere. I feel like there's something to that. And I feel like the symbolism of the angel Moroni dropping his trumpet and then coming back, I feel like it corresponds to missionary work in the pandemic and how things kind of went quiet. Missionary work did continue, but it was hindered. It wasn't moving forward the way that it normally would. But that's all over now. Angel Moroni is back, and now we're having this surge of missionaries right now. We're currently experiencing a surge. So, okay, and then on April 8th, the day after General Conference, and a month after the church purchased the Kirtland Temple, we had the second great American eclipse, and the path of totality went over the Kirtland Temple, and I was there to witness it. I have the video of it. Just search through my history. That was an incredible day for me. I will never forget it. I wish that everyone could have been there. I met some of you, and that was a pleasure. But oh my gosh, that was something else. Um, President Nelson, in his talk in General Conference, he talked about the Kirtland Temple and its significance, and it was just incredible to. Sorry, just one second. Kids in the background fighting or something. I can't tell if they're fighting or if they're playing. Okay, so President Nelson talking about the Kirtland Temple, and then being there the day after, taking a tour for the first time, and then watching the eclipse with like all these people there. It was a really spiritual experience. Okay, let's pause right here and let's get back to the chat. Winless says, I see increased pushback. Mary Kate Wiley, I find this guy really annoying, can't seem to listen to him. Are you talking about me? Who are you talking about? I know you're not talking about me, Mary. Betty Horn, wickedness is going to continue, but so will righteousness. Okay. Let's move on from there. Okay, on the 13th of April, you might remember this, and this was historic. Iran launched its first ever direct military attack on Israel. And this was 7 days after General Conference, which I think is significant because the General Conference before, the October 2023 General Conference, guess what happened 7 days later? The war began. So the war began 7 days after General Conference, 2023, October 2023. And 7 days after the war started, you had the eclipse that went through Utah. It wasn't a total solar eclipse. It was an annular solar eclipse, but that's the one that went through Utah. It missed all the operating temples of the church except for the Monticello, Utah temple. But this conference, 7 days later, Iran launched that massive attack. And there's like debate about how successful the defenses were against it. But Iran had launched cruise missiles, as well as rockets, as well as drones directly at Israel. It went over like Jordanian territory. I know that Jordan was involved in like shooting some of it down. I think Saudi Arabia was too, I want to say, but the United States for sure. And according to most reports from what I've seen, 99% of what was fired at Israel was intercepted and destroyed. And then whatever did hit Israel, it was pretty insignificant. I think there was a military base that was hit, but the damage was marginal. And there's even more than that. There's an Israel 365 article that talks about how miraculous it was, according to one person's opinion, that like studies these things. I don't have the link for that right here. But anyway, and I did a video about that. It just, that was crazy. And I'm actually bracing for the next one. I feel like it's inevitable that it's going to happen again. That next time it's going to be even more harsh. That's just a feeling that I have. I don't have anything really to back that up. But like I said, things are heating up right now between Israel and Hezbollah. It has been for the last few months, but every day that goes by, it seems like it gets more and more intense. And, Hezbollah is like Iran's like main like proxy force outside of the other ones. And so things could really pop off with that, like another direct attack from Iran. I guess we'll have to wait and see. April 16th, the Borsen Historic Copenhagen Stock Exchange burned, almost exactly 5 years since the Notre Dame Cathedral burned on April 15th, 2019. And what's interesting about that is that visually, it looked very similar to the Notre Dame Cathedral because it had a very similar shaped spire. On the stock exchange, it had like a spire it's old, It goes back, I think, a couple centuries, but it's like a conical type spire. It's very narrow and tall, but it's made up of like these, I think, four dragons. Like the dragon bodies are like toward the bottom, and then their tails go up and they like intertwine. It's kind of creepy when you think about the dragon and how in the Bible the dragon represents Satan. But you had this symbol. It's not an operating stock exchange. It's like a historical site, but it is a symbol of commerce. You know, commerce is good, but it's also kind of bad. It's not the law of consecration, and Satan wields a lot of influence and wealth in this world, and so you can see how there could be some symbolism there. The next day is the day that I have dated for the beginning of the pro-Palestinian protests on U.S. university campuses. There probably already were some to a lesser degree before that day. I mean, ever since the war started, I don't need to tell you, there's just been protests all around the world. It's been just insanity. Um, but this is the date that, as far as like university campuses go, it seems to have started in earnest. And as far as I know, I'd have to double check, but I think that it's still going on. I'll just do a quick check on Wikipedia and see what they have. Wikipedia, um, pro Palestine campus protest. They have an article for it. According to Wikipedia, it's still ongoing. I haven't seen a whole lot of news or like a whole lot on like X about this, like police like cleaning up these encampments. But yeah, according to this, it's still ongoing. So that would be for 2 months and 3 days so far. So maybe if you know more about it, you can put it in the chat or in the comments if you're watching this after the fact. Okay, 2 days after that, I did a video. I don't think this is like huge, but it was just kind of unusual. There was a red aurora seen in Albany, Missouri, which is only 26 miles away from Adamandayaman. It's like, I think it's like to the north and west of Adamandayaman. According to NOAA's space weather forecast dashboard, there were no northern lights that morning. That was just like an unusual article that I came across. Its proximity to to Adamandayaman is what made it stick out to me. But over here in Colomar, this is where I have the references for all my stuff, and it's in a couple of different places. But the article that I cited is this one from KHMO Radio. Video shows northern lights over Missouri, but that's impossible, according to NOAA. So I don't know. Red skies near Adamandayaman, that's probably some type of sign. A few days later, the Manti Utah Temple was rededicated, and it was originally slated to be rededicated by Elder Rasband, but in a surprise appearance, it was actually President Nelson who rededicated it. President Nelson has not dedicated or rededicated very many temples. The ones that he has are like really significant temples. So, for example, well, except for like a couple that were more just like his first one as president of the church was the Concepcion Chile Temple. But after that point, pretty much, I think at this point, all the 15 apostles have had a chance to dedicate or rededicate a temple. But President Nelson has done the Rome, Italy temple. He rededicate the, let's see, Washington, D.C. temple rededication. I'm pretty sure he rededicated that. Yeah, the prophet rededicates the Washington, D.C. temple. I recently did a video about how President Nelson it's like he's done these things with like these really key temples. The Rome Italy temple, the Kirtland temple came back into the church under President Nelson's presidency. He rededicated the Washington D.C. temple, which is a key temple. If he's still alive in 2026, and if things go according to the way it's planned right now, I'm sure he'll rededicate the Salt Lake temple, unless like he's too frail or something like that. Um, but anyway, he also did the Manti Temple, which is also a very important temple in the church. It's one of the early ones. It's pioneer era. There are a lot of spiritual things, like spiritual manifestations that took place there. Uh, it's one of the temple sites that Moroni had dedicated while before he died in Book of Mormon times. We learned that from Brigham Young. It was him and I can't remember the guy's name, but the two of them dedicated that site for the temple, the land for the temple. And he told the other guy that it was because it had to be there because Moroni had previously already dedicated that land. All right, let's take another quick break. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Following Jesus Christ through the scriptures. I just got an ad for Biden. Laugh out loud. Oh, brother. I'm sorry about that. I don't control what ads are selected. I'm sorry about that. Clint, hey Jared, love to talk to you about Eastern Kansas. There are a couple of job opportunities I'm considering in that area. In your opinion, is it worth moving there? Where do you recommend? I don't have any recommendations because I'm just familiar with South Central Kansas. I don't really go to Eastern Kansas, except for up near Kansas City. But yeah, I would recommend. I mean, I guess it depends on where you're moving from, but I would recommend the Midwest and moving to Kansas or Missouri. I think the Lord is like slowly kind of building up this part of the vineyard. And I think it's because of the second coming. I think there needs to be some more people in the Kansas City area. That's where New Jerusalem is going to be built. And near there, you also have Adam-on-Ayamin, which would have had a city if the saints hadn't been driven out. There would have been a city and a temple there. In far west, I don't think it's wise for everybody to come, but if you're feeling the prompting, then I would follow those promptings. I came to Kansas not with that on my mind. I came here because we couldn't afford land anywhere west of Kansas. We considered Texas and Arkansas and Oklahoma and Missouri, but we decided on Kansas. Following Jesus Christ through the scriptures like Hydra. Yeah. Yep. AFA CTIC. Happy Millennium Reign, everyone. Yeah, happy Millennium Reign, everybody. We're almost there. We can start celebrating now, I guess. Ken K, the haystack. You'll have to update us if you hear he does. Okay. Janet Manning, we are planning on moving over that area. However, I can't seem to get things done fast enough. We're having one trial right after another. First, a vehicle goes out. My husband becomes sick. Oh, I'm there with you, and I'm sure it's Satan trying to stop you. I feel like whenever you try and do anything good, go to the temple, do a YouTube channel, share the Book of Mormon, move somewhere that the Lord wants you to move, take a job that the Lord wants you to take. Satan's there to cause problems. But, you just hold fast and, pray. Don't get frustrated. Just be calm and just move through those obstacles, and the Lord can make things happen for you. Graciela Herrera. Hi, Jared. Here in Patagonia, we have a huge snowstorm. Oh, wow. I would love to go there sometime. I really, really would. That's one of the places I'd like to go. Let's see. Betty Horn. My bishop told us to stay put. Oh, like you were thinking about moving to Missouri or something like that, Betty Horn? Okay, let's continue. Okay, April 25th. This is wild. I don't know if it is to anybody else, but for me it is. April 25th um, was the beginning of a 20-day streak of tornadoes in the United States. Every single day for 20 days, there was a tornado in the United States, and it caused a lot of damage. In fact, I have well, it's not my charity. There's a GoFundMe for Lori Hast. She's one of my subscribers. She lives in Iowa. I think the place is called Mendon. I can't remember. I'd have to double check, but her house got hit by this outbreak of crazy tornadoes. So where she lives is near Council Bluffs in Iowa, and she needs like one of those like handicap vans. It's the one that they have got damaged. It's no longer, I guess, serviceable. So if you're able to donate, please do. The link is in the description box of every video. Ever since I found out that this happened to her, and once she got the link to me. Okay, so this 20-day streak of tornadoes, it started in the Salt Lake Valley. There was a landspout tornado, and NOAA did record it as a tornado. It's not like, a Midwest tornado, but it's a type of tornado, and it was the first one in this series of tornadoes that caused all this damage. What happened was it went for 20 days, and then it stopped. And the day after it stopped was, so like the break was the 15th of May. And the 15th of May this year is the 195th anniversary of the restoration of the Aaronic priesthood. So, and then it continued after that. The streak after that did not go for 20 days or more. But in fact, at this point, I think things have kind of like died down. But it's been pretty wild for the last couple months, going back to April 25th. We had a tornado that hit here west of town, just a couple miles, and there was a house that its roof got torn off. In fact, we know the person that lives there. Terrible. And there was like another property that was damaged. But I was like, we went to the municipal hall that has like a tornado shelter, and I was just watching Max Velocity, and he was saying the name of my town. I'm just like, oh my gosh, if the name of your town shows up on his show, that's not the type of publicity that you want, or the type of recognition that you want. So anyway, you had that unusual thing happen, starting on on April 25th, going until ending on the 14th of May. On the 28th of April, the Urdaneta Philippines temple was dedicated, the 190th of the church. And then, as if the eclipse, going to see the eclipse at the Kirtland temple wasn't crazy enough for me, and for you by extension, if you watched my video, I'm sure it was crazy for you too. On the 10th of May, there were these. It's interesting because there were 7 coronal mass ejections. A lot of times, solar flares and coronal mass ejections are like they correspond with each other, but not always. So in this case, you had seven coronal mass ejections launched from the sun, and they came toward Earth, and because of that, there was an incredible aurora borealis display that was seen. And I guess probably aurora australis, or however it's pronounced, in the south. But I let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments, did you see the aurora on that night? It was incredible. I never thought that I would see the aurora in my lifetime. Like I have no plans to like go up north anywhere for any reason. Of course, anything could happen, but I never thought I would see the aurora, much less in Kansas, of all places. Not even northern Kansas, southern Kansas. And this was seen as far south as the Florida Keys. So virtually the entire United States was able to see it. I think in Mexico, uh, there was parts of Mexico that were able to see it. So I'd have to double check like the full range of everyone that saw it, but it was a lot of people. At first, what we had to do is like you look up in the sky and there'd just be kind of like a faint, like what looked like kind of just like a like fog or overcast clouds with like city lights reflecting off the clouds. But if you took a picture of it in night mode, like long exposure, then it would show up in your pictures. And so that was incredible enough. But as the night went on, for us, I think it was around like 1 a.m. It was definitely after midnight, but I think it was around 1 a.m. We could actually start to like see it, like with our naked eye, like see the colors. It got like really red for a while, and we were able to see the like bluish green color, and it was something else. And the thing about it, so I've never, to my knowledge, that's never happened in my lifetime. Um, I don't think. But even if it has happened before, where it's come like this far south, I don't think so many people, probably in the history of the world, have experienced the aurora like we did this time, because all the pictures that everybody was taking, it was just flooding social media completely. So I take it as a sign with all these things that are going on this year, everything that we've covered so far. My gosh, I feel like 2020 and 2024 are big years. We know for a fact that 2020 was a big year. It seems like 2020 woke up a lot of people to the second coming, and already this first half of 2024, there's already been all this crazy stuff, and I think it's just going to get crazier as the year goes on, both with natural phenomena like this, uh, whether it's like signs in the heavens or whether it's natural disasters, but also wars that are going on and things in politics with the elections. I think this next half of the year is going to be something else. I just feel it. Let me know what you think. What do you think that the second half of 2024 is going to be like? Do you think it's going to get crazier? Um, okay, so the aurora, that was crazy, and I got some like really cool. I didn't take them, but some people sent in some really cool temple photos with like the aurora in the background. So go check out my Facebook page for that. Um, I have an album for temple photos. Okay, on the 19th of May, um, the Iranian president Ibrahim Raisi and foreign minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian died in a helicopter crash, which is an interesting thing to happen during this war. I got some flack from some people because I was thinking like I think that Israel probably did this through covert, clandestine means, maybe some type of weapon that's classified. Who knows? Um, but a lot of people were saying that maybe it was like actually an act of God, and that could be as well. Now I understand that he doesn't wield the same power as like the Ayatollah, um, the Grand Ayatollah, but from what I studied in that video, it seemed like he was basically being prepared to become the next one. So that's a wrench that was thrown in those plans. Um, and I don't know all the implications of it, but if it was Israel, then it sends a pretty strong message, because it's like, look, you think you're safe? You think you're safe? Like that we can't get to you? We can. So don't even think about using nuclear bombs. Don't think about doing another direct attack on Israel, because we have the capability of getting to you. Now, if that's not the case, then yeah, it's probably just an act of God. Maybe sparing the world a little bit more time before World War III, or the final war kicks off. We'll just have to see how things go. But during a war like this and the people involved. The defense minister Gallant said that Israel's fighting a 7-front war. And I have it on Google Earth. I'm not going to pull it up, but it includes um, yeah, it includes Yemen, Hamas, Hezbollah, the military or the militia groups in Syria and Iraq. Oh yeah, the West Bank, like groups in the West Bank, and then the seventh one being Iran itself. So with this type of war going on, with these like really key figures being taken out, um, it's an interesting time for that to happen. Okay, on that same day, the Puebla, Mexico temple was dedicated, the 191st of the church. And then on the 30th of May, I I feel like this is just like a foreshadowing of what we can expect to see the rest of this year as far as like political divisiveness and struggle for power. On the 30th of May, Trump was convicted on 4 counts of felony crimes, or however I'm not good talking, legal language or, court language. But that happened. It was the first time in U.S. history that a former U.S. president was convicted of a crime of felonies. So that's not a good sign for the country when something like that happens. It doesn't matter the circumstances, why or who is or isn't guilty or anything like that. The fact that it happened is not a good sign. I did a video talking about a bunch of other like America specific signs that have been happening lately. There was an earthquake in North New Jersey that's where the epicenter was, and it shook New York City, and it shook the Statue of Liberty. Anyway, I'm not going to go over all that. There's like a bunch of like America specific signs I feel that have been happening. Okay, and now we're up to June. On the 2nd of June, the Taylorsville, Utah temple was dedicated. If I was still living in my hometown, this would be my new temple. I would be in this temple district, I believe. It's the 192nd temple to be dedicated in the church. On that same day, this crazy comet that we've been watching for a while that has been having these like eruptions and changing colors and shape and all this stuff. It's called Comet 12P Pons Brooks. It made its closest approach to the Earth on that day. Is it a sign of anything? Don't know, but there has been a lot going on with it. But that happened. And then we've had some more temple dedications, and that brings us up to today. The Coban, Guatemala temple, Salta, Argentina. I know that one, the Salta, Argentina, was dedicated by D. Todd Christofferson. And then the Layton, Utah temple. It wasn't that dedicated by Elder Bednar, the Layton temple. Anyway, those two were dedicated on the same day. And that's reminding me, when was it? There was like a day when there were 3 temples dedicated on the same day. When was that? Oh yeah, that was back on the 17th of September, 2023. Brasilia, Brazil temple, Bentonville, Arkansas temple, and Moses Lake, Washington. That was the first time that many temples have been dedicated on the same day. I need to update the rest of this, like upcoming dedications, because there's probably more dates that have been set. Later this year, we have President Nelson, who's going to turn 100 years old on September 9th. And then on the 13th of October, there's another comet that's going to be making its closest approach to Earth called C2023A3 Sushinshan Atlas. And It's going to come the day after Yom Kippur, the holiest day on the Hebrew calendar. Upcoming temples that I'm tracking as of right now: Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania; Mendoza, Argentina; Casper, Wyoming; and Salvador, Brazil. So, like I said, maybe there's more. I'll just have to double check. So, that's what I'm tracking right now. Let me know if I missed anything, or is there any other things that have stuck out to you this year so far, this first half of 2024. Let's see. Graciela Herrera says, I was in the temple last year. She must be responding to something. Okay. Janet Manning, I feel that we are at the beginning of more of prophecies being fulfilled. I feel that we are coming to a final end, maybe at the end of this year or maybe next year. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I feel like things could happen anytime. You pick any major thing having to do with the second coming, I could see it happening anytime. Graciela Herrera, yes, agree. Lamanites are waiting too. Consider the lilies. Jared, hello. I hope your evening is well. It is. Yeah. That's why I'm doing this live stream. I was in the mood to do a live stream. It's been a while. I miss talking to you guys in this way. It's just, I don't know. I've been busy. I've been doing a lot of work on these spreadsheets and just doing different things. Let's see. David Swenson, Israel with an Israeli flag versus Lebanon with a Lebanese flag. Next, Daniel 1140. I don't know. I feel like there's been a number of times that I've brought up on the channel that, there's this recent thing that happened and it looks like Israel and Hezbollah, they're about to go at it. There's been like a number of times, including just recently. And I feel like it's just a ticking time bomb. I feel like it's all but inevitable that it's going to happen. And when it does, it's probably not going to look pretty. I don't think it's going to look like other confrontations between Israel and Hezbollah. I think this time a permanent change is probably going to be made. That's just my guess. Let's see. Follow Jesus Christ through the scriptures. Putin went to North Korea and signed some kind of agreement. Yeah, I saw that. I don't know how to analyze these things because there's so many times that I've seen treaties, agreements, coalitions, things like that, and then sometimes just like a lot of time goes by and nothing really happens. I don't know how significant it is. I can tell just on the surface that that's not a good thing for the United States, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Graciela Herrera, during my last visit to the temple, I was worried about economic situation because Argentina, and the clear answer came to me: be prepared for the second coming. So signs are right on. Or sorry, so signs are on site. Yeah. Keep living your life though. We should, all the way up until these big events, these appearances of the second coming, keep living your life. I would not do anything with your savings. Just keep living life like normal, as though time was going to keep going, and just follow the spirit. Bud Gillette, Layton, Utah temple has murals straight from the Carson, Alberta temple. And then he says, David A. Bednar, that's in response to my question about who dedicated the Layton, Utah temple. Thank you. Consider the lilies. Pons Brooks was in Puppis constellation earlier, which was really intriguing. And the sun sat right in Orion's risen / swinging arm. Incredible. Or hand is the correction there that he or she puts later. The Book of Academia, also all on Sunday. First dedications in Sundays. Oh, like when I was going over the 3 dedications. Okay, then he says, he or she says, now all dedicated on Sundays. Huh. What? Well, I don't know the history of that. Has there ever been any other temples dedicated on anything other than a Sunday? I don't know. I'll take your word for it. Is that like a recent change? Can anybody give more detail to that? Nathan Shaw, Layton, 195th temple. We now have a temple for every year of this dispensation. Oh, that's an interesting thought. I like that. Pretty soon we're going to have. Okay, I already forgot. Was that the most recent one? Well, on my tracker it is June 16th. That was just 4 days ago. I'm going to look at something really quick. Let's see. Go to temple. Okay, wait. What's it called again? I'll just do LDS temples. Church of Jesus Christ Temples.org. Go to chronology. Let's look at this right now. Okay, temples under construction. Here, I'll put it on the screen. Okay, so Layton, yes, Layton is the most recent one. And then we'll just pull this up. I'll zoom out. Okay, so we have a date for Pittsburgh, but we already knew that. And then there's a date for Mendoza. We already knew that. A date for San Pedro Sula, Honduras. Let's see, did I have that? No, I didn't have that. Okay, so that's one I got to update. Casper, Wyoming. We had that, and that's a nice picture. Salvador, Brazil. We had that one. And I really like this, like, I don't know what you call this design other than, like, Spanish mission design architecture. Is that what you call this? Or, like, colonial Spaniard? What do you call this? Do you know? It probably says it here on the site, but Deseret Peak, Utah Temple. Yeah, isn't this like the Tooele Temple? Yeah, Utah's Tooele Valley. It's called Deseret Peak, Utah Temple. So that's going to be in September. And the last one was going to be, that was going to be August, and then September. And then it looks like that's that's all we have so far by way of dedication dates that have been set. So I have one to update. It's that one in Honduras, and it looks like it's going to be before a couple of these other ones. Yeah. Oh, okay, so the other thing that I was looking forward to. So in case you just join the live stream, at the beginning I was talking about things I'm interested to see in the future. President Nelson's birthday, how that's going to go, or if he passes away and then it goes to President Oaks and how that's going to go. Also the elections, also the red heifers, because I feel like it has to happen this year. Could they really risk not doing it this year? I don't know. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with this war for the next half of 2024. But the other thing is President Nelson's sevens that he's doing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll pull that up right now. Let's see. President Nelson's sevens. There it is. Let me zoom out and I'll put it on the screen. Just a second. Window. Okay, so President Nelson, for 7 months in a row, each month he would do a post where he would repeat a word or a phrase or a title of Christ 7 times. So the first month that he started this series, excuse me, he did two. He did two social media posts. Here, I'll zoom in. He did two social media posts in September that repeated a word or a phrase 7 times. So the first post was on the 21st of September, which commemorated the 200th anniversary of the angel Moroni coming to Joseph Smith in his home at night. So he repeated Book of Mormon 7 times in this post. Here's the post right here. Okay, 7 days later, he does it again, but this time the word that he repeats is conference. And here's the post. Okay, so it's as though to kind of like signal, like I'm starting a thing. Hey, pay attention. If you missed the first one, here's the next one. And they were spaced 7 days apart. I didn't do this. This is President Nelson. I'm not making this up. These are just facts. You can interpret it how you want. But so September, he had those two. And then each month after that, he does it again. In October, it was Think Celestial. He took an excerpt from his talk, Think Celestial, where he repeated Think Celestial 7 times. In November, it was prayers. I'm skipping this one because this is not a social media post. It's the first presidency Christmas message. Okay, the next month was December, and he did 7 titles of Christ. In January, the word was marvel. He repeated that 7 times. In February, on Valentine's Day, he repeated the word love 7 times. The 7th month of this series, we were looking forward to see, like, well, is something going to happen once we reach the 7th month? Is he just going to keep going forever? Or does it end after 7 months? Well, the answer is it ended. It ended with March. It was the 7th month that he had been doing this. And in March, the word was women, or it was like identifiers of women, like mother, sister, grandma, things like that. He did it 7 times. And that was the month that the Kirtland Temple was purchased, that the ownership was transferred. It was in that month when he finished this 7. Okay, and then in April, nothing. He posted on social media, but he just didn't do a post where he repeated a word or a phrase 7 times. Okay, well, so I was like, okay, well, that's probably it. Like, we know that he receives specific details when it comes to his revelation. He has said it himself on the church blog. Sherry Dew said it, that he received like very specific details on numbers. And so it's not like surprising that he would be doing something like this. The question is, why? Well, I don't know. Maybe it was to point to the Kirtland Temple. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was to point to this general conference. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. So April comes and we're just, the end of the month came and it's like, okay, well, I guess that's done. That was it. It was the Kirtland Temple. Well, no, hold on. In May, on, I don't have the exact date on here. Why did I do that? Well, okay. So for May, it happened again. And this time it was women. So now it's like starting to be this kind of like mere thing going on, or you could say kind of like a chiasmus, the Hebrew poetic way of writing where you have similar things pointing to the middle. So the middle would have been April. In May, it was women, just like in March. And then June, it was one. So that doesn't necessarily match up with love. I guess it could, maybe, in a way, because like if you really love somebody, you become like one with them. Whether it's your spouse or even your children, like when you truly love somebody, um, well, then it's Zion. It's one heart, one mind. So it's not just like romantic love. It's just when you truly have love for others, uh, you become one with them. And it's a beautiful thing. So we're about to uh, get into the month of July, and we'll see what happens. But if he does this again, if he does it for 7 months, the 7 months is going to overshoot General Conference in October, and the seventh month will be November. So that's the other thing that I'm looking forward to. Uh, if the Kirtland Temple came last time, what's going to happen this time, if anything? It's exciting to think about. I hope it's something amazing. Da, 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 da. Graciela Herrera, Jared, yes, I keep living my life without temporal changes. Okay, good. But spiritual and major changes take place in my life. Reading, helping share the gospel becomes more important now. Sharing the gospel becomes more important now. Yeah. Books of Academia is continuing with like some other thought. Was, I guess, talking to somebody else, I think. Graciela says colonial style. Yeah. But I think you have to specify like Spanish colonial, because like you do have like American colonial homes. That's like I guess British colonial style. Consider the lilies. Adam did say it is a time-bound ritual, red heifer. So for sure, I'm curious as well what happens. Yeah, that's. I wish I was privy to that. I mean, I could always contact Adam again, but I don't want to like be like this annoying person. And I think that the way that I picture it right now is just one day that's going to be the news. It's going to be on X. I'm going to go to my inbox. I'm going to have literally 1,000 emails from everybody telling me about the red heifer and how it was just sacrificed. I think that's how it's going to happen. But I think the best thing that you can do if you want to stay on top of that is follow his channel, Adam Eliyahu Berkowitz, or just also Israel 365 News, also the Temple Institute. Those are like the authoritative sources for information. For some reason, there's all these like other like fringy type channels that just like make things up, or they may just like accidentally, because they don't know any better, they're trying to put the pieces together, but then they'll say things authoritatively when it's actually just their guess. So the Books of Academia, President Nelson's seven sevens ending day before eclipse, 77 days after eclipse is June 24th. The book warden, random off topic question. Have you heard of the Elton anomaly? It is the recurrence of certain words in the King James, sometimes 77777 or something like that, lending evidence to its divine authenticity. No, I haven't heard of that. The Elton anomaly. I'm going to I'm probably not going to do a video on that unless I find something myself, but Elton anomaly. But I'll probably just check it out. Okay. Thank you for that. The Books of Academia, April conference, he gave 7 attributes of temples. Yeah, no, I remember that. I remember that because when I was in Kirtland, the church had changed out the signs. that used to be Community of Christ signs. And as I was doing a live stream, one of the signs had that scripture from Doctrine and Covenants that talks about, I'm just going to paraphrase, but it's like, my house is a house of order, house of prayer, a house of da da da. And it has like 7 things. So yeah, I think President Nelson was reading that scripture, but I think that that's significant. And that's currently what's in front of the Kirtland Temple right now on the sign. The Books of Academia. Don't forget when President Nelson's Facebook post said General Conference to point to that talk. I told you on March 11th in email that he would say temples 7 times for March. Good call. And I apologize anybody if I don't get to your emails. It's I wish I could read every single email. I cannot do it. There are thousands of emails, and I just do what I can. So please forgive me if I don't respond to your email. Michelle Cavazos, 1 first and greatest commandment, love God. Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's good. Monica Stock, hashtag Book of Mormon. I gave a Book of Mormon away and had prayer with my waitress. Good. Monica, if you don't mind, can you email that to me or put it in like another video, because in the chat, it's hard for me to like come back to it. And I don't want to update it right now, but it's hard for me to like go through the chat. So could you just comment on another video or send me an email? That'd be great. But good job. Good job. Oh, Caitlin's here, and it's her birthday, by the way. Anticipating Christ's return. Hey, Jared. I just saw this. Welcome. You're catching the tail end. Everyone, make sure to subscribe to her. Did I already say that? She is one of the ones that decided to start a channel, and her channel is doing really good. And as the name of her channel implies, she talks about Second Coming stuff, and she has really good insights. So, welcome, Caitlin. The Books of Academia. Tomorrow I'm going to the Columbus Temple before returning to Kirtland for the 24th. Funny that makes 7 operating ordinance temples since I began this Pentecostal journey in early March. That's cool. The Books of Academia. No, I'm talking to you, Jared. Oh, sorry. It seemed like you were having a conversation with somebody else in the chat. I didn't know what you were talking about. Betty Horn, just checking. Did you see my answer to your question? No. I'll try really quick to find it if I can. Oh wait, something from Lori Hast. She's the one that had her home destroyed by a tornado in Iowa. The link for her GoFundMe is in the description box of each video, including this live stream. Lori says, hi there. Thank you all who have donated. It's been a blessing. One thing they keep mentioning is the bird flu. They have started demo on our home, and we have found temporary housing. Just thank you. Praying Christ comes soon. For sure. Yeah, good job donating. If you still can, or if you haven't, please consider donating. And the bird flu has been, I'm not like scared, but like I am a little bit worried about it, because I feel like ever since COVID, we'd probably see it again. And if it was going to happen in any year, that it'd be 2024, because it feels like 2024 is some kind of parallel year to 2020. Especially with what we have coming up here in the United States in November. Betty, I can't find your thing. Just if you don't mind, put it again. I can't find it. Graciela Herrera, Jared, what if the supernova happens during General Conference? Well, that would be exciting. If you guys don't know, there's I did a video about this, but I even now I keep getting emails about this thing that's supposed to happen. Okay. If I remember right, there's a star system that the star is a red is a red giant, and orbiting the red giant is a star. I'll just look it up. It's fine. Upcoming supernova. I should pull it up. No, not Betelgeuse. Oh, this is it. Scientific American. Okay, so look, I'll show you the visual if you haven't seen this. Okay, so you have this is a red giant, right? Control F, red. Yeah, right there. So you have the red giant, and then you have a white dwarf star that's like orbiting the red giant, and it essentially it periodically explodes, and it's like a nova. And so when that happens, it's expected to happen between now and I think October, either September or October. When it happens, we should be able to see it with the naked eye. From what I remember, it's not going to be like spectacular. Don't expect like some like amazing appearance in the sky, but it'll appear like a star, just like a regular star, like a new star. I was hoping I could just kind of skim through this, but I'll put the link for it in the chat right now if you want to read up on that. But that's something that is predicted to happen this year. And let me just, okay, Control F, October, September. Yeah, September. TCRB last erupted in 1946, and its behavior suggests that its next paroxysm is due any moment between now and September. So yeah, it's interesting timing, especially if it did happen in well, let's go back here. If it happened either say it didn't happen until October and it happened on or around General Conference, that would be interesting. Or that's also the time frame for the Jewish fall holidays. So this year they're going to start in October. So Rosh Hashanah starts at sundown on the 2nd of October. And then after Rosh Hashanah is over, then we will have General Conference the day after Rosh Hashanah too, because it's a 2-day thing. So you have that, and then Sunday, and then the next week, the next Saturday, which is Jewish Shabbat, is Yom Kippur. And then the week after that, you have the Feast of Tabernacles that begins on the 17th. So it'd be interesting if that nova, that it's, because I don't think it's called a supernova. I think it's, let's see, Control F, nova. Yeah, I was right. It's what astronomers call a nova. So it's not like a supernova, which would have produced this, or which will happen to this red giant at the end of its life. It's just like a nova. Anyway, I felt like I was going somewhere with that. Oh yeah, and also it's interesting because it's in the constellation how's it spelled? Borealis. Corona Borealis, which means northern crown. So like when we think about Christ, how he's going to be politically the ruler, the king of earth, maybe it's fitting that we would have this event take place in the northern crown constellation. Let's see. Betty Horn, my bishop told us 3 times when we first moved back that we were in this ward and stake for a divine purpose. He reiterated it last week at the temple. All right. All right. Well, thanks for answering that question. I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that you're needed in Florida. That's where Betty Horn is at. Everybody. Graciela Herrera. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Jared, for all your work. It's late. Is late here. Bye. Have a good night. It's late here too. Well, it's not too late. It's 9:30. 9:32 Central Time. Caitlin from Anticipating Christ's Return channel says, thanks, Jared. Hearts on face. Big red heart. You're welcome. Trevor Stevens. David, come home to where? Okay. Sherry Luddington. Jared, I'm amazed at your output of videos. How do you balance family, church calling, and personal scripture study? I just do it. Havenly 88-119, or like Doctrine and Covenants 88-119. Sorry, I don't want to look that up. No, yeah, sorry. Back to Sherry. So I'm taking this YouTube channel seriously, and so I'm gonna do it the best that I can, and just do everything that I can, because this is basically the same as my personal study. I am on the side personally reading the Book of Mormon, so I do that. I do find time for that, but all the rest of this essentially is my gospel study, because it's not just Second Coming stuff. It's everything else. You know, I put out mostly Second Coming stuff or like news, but I also like to get into these other spiritual topics, different doctrines of the church. So yeah. And my church calling is the Elders Quorum instructor. So I basically literally do this every single day except for 2 Sundays a week, or 2 Sundays a month. Consider the lilies. You're awesome, Jared. I did send an email your way. No pressure. I'm a sister trying to start up a channel. I'm brand new, so no rush. Haha. But I appreciate your helping us sisters. That's great. So everyone check out Consider the Lilies. If that's your channel, then let me know. Make sure to subscribe to her. Havenly, thank you. You're awesome. Thank you, Havenly. Mary JR, hello, my friend. Hello. David Hinton, back home to the islands. Books of Academia is talking to Sherry. Janet Manning, thanks for all the information, Jared. I need to do a few things tonight before I go to bed. I'm going to go ahead and just have to say goodnight, okay? Not okay. You don't leave until we're done here, Janet. It's okay, you can go. You're excused. David Hinton, the area authorities published this week. Okay. Previously, he said back home to the islands. The area authorities published this week. I think I missed something. Huascar Constantino Diaz Mateo says, Jared, we need to get through about the fact of coming back to Zion. We need to get through about the fact of coming back to Zion. Elaborate. Let me know what you mean by that. Eileen Hunt, love your channel. Keep it up. Thank you, Eileen. I'm glad that you guys enjoy the channel. I never planned on doing a channel, so it's just amazing. Like, people enjoy it. Following Jesus Christ through the scriptures, organize yourselves, prepare every needful thing, and establish a house, even a house. Okay, here's the scripture. Yeah. Okay. A house of prayer, fasting, faith, learning, glory, order, God. Those are the 7 attributes of the temple. Consider the Lilies. It is. Okay, so this is Consider the Lilies channel, so make sure to check her out and subscribe. It's brand new. I hope to get a few videos up soon. Full-time mom with 4 kids. It's summer. Ha 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 ha. The Books of Academia. I think he means Living Zion. We need to get through the fact of living Zion. Like becoming like a Zion people. Like we need to like do that. I agree. David Hinton, you did miss something. I'm sorry. If you want to repeat it, you can. Sorry. Janet Manning, haha, Jared. David Hinton, the Pacific Area Authorities, Azjed to come home. Oh, they asked you to come home to the Pacific Islands. Sherry Luddington, thank you for all your work. ... It has changed my life. ... My husband and I now attend the temple regularly because of you. With a red heart after that. Good. I myself need to get to the temple more regularly. I really do. I can't wait till we have this one in Wichita, but I'm not sure if we'll be here by the time that it's constructed because we're wanting to go up to the Kansas City area. Consider the Lilies. The emoji faces are amazing. The Books of Academia, full-time dad with channel here, but I'll wait until you see merit in it first. Haha. A lot of people with channels. Everybody subscribe to everybody. Just right now, everybody subscribe to everybody. Do it now. Huascar Constantino Diaz Mateo establishing Zion. Yeah. Well, we established Zion by being a Zion people, going to the temple, bringing people into the church, doing the work of salvation. We need to keep doing that. President Nelson said that the most important thing taking place right now is gathering scattered Israel, both on this side and that side of the veil. All right, well, I better end it here. My goodness, it's almost been 2 hours. It didn't feel like it for me. I don't know about you. For you, it probably felt like 3 hours, 4 hours. Maybe it felt like half a year. But yeah, so we just talked about the first half of 2024. We still have a few more days left of this half of the year. I just wanted to do it now. I was just feeling like it. I normally would have done it on the 30th of June, but today was summer solstice. So I don't know, there's that. But this second half of the year, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be crazy. And when everything's happen, I'll do videos about it. David Hinton, the Pacific Area Authorities asked a video. Okay. The Pacific Area, here we go. This will be the last thing before I wrap up. David Hinton, the Pacific Area Authorities asked people to come home. Oh, so like they put out a video asking like Pacific people, Pacific Islanders, or maybe people from Australia and New Zealand to come back home. Let me just see if there's something that comes up. LDS Pacific Area Presidency. I just wonder if there's like something that will come up. Well, I don't see anything. Just with my initial search. But that's interesting. If you want to send that to me, that'd be great. You don't have to. I may not. Just if it seems like a big thing or like really interesting, then send it to me. It sounds interesting. YouTube, he says. Okay, what? Well, I'll check that out later. Thanks, David. Okay, everybody. I hope you have a good rest of your night. I hope you have a good rest of your year. Hopefully we'll all make it through this, or even better, hopefully the second coming will happen in the second half of 2024. I really hope so. But either way, I think a lot of interesting things are going to happen. All right. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below if you're watching this after the fact. And I'll talk to you guys later.